Hi, Pastel Enlightenment here, and another social injustice topic. This one is a trigger warning for some. This one's going to be on sexual trauma in childhood, affecting sexual health or confusion later on in life. Okay? Alright, so just a trigger warning for any of those who that might affect. Alright. So, childhood sexual abuse, okay? And there are many of us who can relate to this, and many have not ever reported this, and even to those in the families have never reported it or to the authorities. So that's why I put the trigger warning out there, okay? Alright, so childhood sexual abuse has the potential to transform in multiple ways. Some common symptoms and long-term effects include dissociation, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-harm, relationship difficulties, and addictive or compulsive patterns of behaviors. And I think all of those are major issues, but I think the majority of them are the major one is the hyper and the hypo sexual issues. All right. When a child suffers sexual abuse, sexual arousal becomes activated prematurely and can largely impact the survivor's sense of autonomy over their body and sense of self. Okay. So basically, and another thing that happens is it can draw in neural networks of the child's brain that associates sex with power, fear, shame, confusion, secrecy, and pain. This is the main reason why those who have been sexually impacted are more vulnerable to struggle with intimate relationships and their sexual orientation. Okay? So, when the one who has been sexually abused tries to attempt to reconcile the confusing components in their experiences of pleasurable physiological of pleasurable physiological responses in conjunction to emotional and psychological distress. The children often feel shame and responsibility tied to their abuse and sexuality, and distrust of bodily reactions such as arousal or physical dissociation. Okay, so most of the times they will just remove themselves totally from their entire being, kind of like an out-of-body experience during the sexual experience with the other person. So no matter how many partners they have, they will not put their emotions into that relationship. It's basically they're just going through the motion, is basically what they're saying. They just disassociate themselves totally. All right. So the fusion of shame, secrecy, and pleasure predispose one to sexual aversion, sexual anorexia, dysfunction, or compulsion, deterring them from developing healthy sexuality in adulthood. All right. The link between sexual abuse and sexual addiction. All right. This is one that I can relate to throughout my entire life, is the sexual addiction, and that I've gone through numerous periods with not only getting help with professionally, but dealing with just within myself. All right, so it says, addictive cycle includes isolation, anxiety, alienation from loved ones, breaking of one's own value system, and secrecy. All things that often increase feelings of despair and a yearning to escape and repeat the cycle. Because really, you don't like to tell anybody. And then, honestly, a lot of people around you, and including professionals, and including the DSM, which has all of the psych issues included in there, they don't even really like to include sexual addictions in there as being one of an addiction. So, all right, so there are 8 trauma responses that are common with sex addiction, and it is trauma reactions, trauma pleasure, trauma blocking, trauma splitting, trauma abstinence, trauma shame, trauma repetition, and trauma bonding. I think most of us can relate to trauma bonding. That's when you and another person, that's how you two come together. Like if 2 people are abused, then that's basically the only reason why you and that person are in a relationship. Nothing else in the relationship is going right, and that is the only thing holding that relationship together. So basically, you're just trauma bonding. All right. So, the role of gender play. A role in how a person seeks help in adulthood. Boys and men cultively are still provided messages in society to be masculine. So for the most part, they make promiscuity and control a priority and are less likely to report it either to family or to authorities. And so that's why we have many of our men who deal with a lot of the emotional issues, and they keep things to themselves, and they have a lot of the misogyny issues. They try to keep this facade for society, like, yes, I'm a manly man, but then inside they I hate to use like feminine and masculine because we all carry both of those, but you know, like I said, on the outside for society, because society wants to put a man in the masculine roles, and then on the inside they feel like this femininity because they feel like their masculinity has been ripped from them, I guess, per se, due to the abuse from whoever had abused them, especially if it was a same sex that had abused them. And so they feel demasculated, and the same as a same sex for a woman. So for many of these people, you know, that it's all about control. They just want their control back that was taken from them as a child, and that is what they seek out with these sexual partners throughout their life. They just want that control. that they lost. All right. In regards to sexual orientations, studies show sexual abuse of boys by men teaches, okay, in quotes, teaches homosexualities, and girls sexually abused by men, especially older males, perpetrators, causes them to be aversive to sexual relationships. But homosexuality is a choice. If a person, after they have completed all of their inner child healings and have healed from all of their traumas, if they still choose and trust to be in same-sex relationships, they just need to know that it is okay to do that. That is their choice, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if they choose to be in opposite sex relationships, there's nothing wrong with that either. And if they choose to go both ways, or whichever way they choose to go, there's nothing wrong with that. And if they choose to experiment to see which way they want to go, that is fine as well. There should be no judgment. It's up to them to figure out who they are and what they would like to do and be. You know, it wasn't their choice for what had happened to them during their childhood. So it is their choice on which way they would like to live out the rest of their life. So this is a very triggering topic. And like I said, later on, and not even really later on, like with the sex addiction and many of the other issues that cause issues for those that have been sexually abused, those things tend to come out, early in life. During the teen years is when they seem to start peaking. And then that's usually when you start being curious and trying things. So the only issue is with the sexual addiction, you have to promote, safety and trying to protect yourself against sexual diseases and pregnancy and other things that come out. And then I didn't touch base with it with this, but another big thing is drug usage is very big. That's another thing that a lot of us deal with or have dealt with throughout our lives, trying to numb the pain and emotions. And that also, besides just numbing the emotions, it also helps, especially if you're hypersexualized, it helps to calm yourself, so that you don't get those urges to go out and want to sleep with everybody or want to be with everybody, or even if you're in a partnership, your partner may not have the same sex drive as you do. So, they may get tired of you always hitting them up, wanting sexual relations all the time. So, it does cause many issues in a relationship. And so, I have found meditation does help with a lot of things. For those that look for ways to try and tame their urges without using drugs or alcohol, meditation is good for that. Breathing work helps as well. So if you want, you can try those. So I just wanted to keep this nice and short and sweet because it is so triggering. But just know that it's okay if you're not sure which way you want to go in your sexual orientation. And it's always okay to go and talk to somebody, get professional help. And it's okay if you don't want to speak to your family about it. Find someone who is safe to talk to. All right, talk to you later. Bye.